Hello and welcome, it's Maria here, and today I'm going to be working on this little seascape. Very simple to do. All you need is acrylic paint, some water, a canvas or acrylic paper, and we'll get going on it straight away. So I'm just getting going on this very simple painting. I'm using quite a large brush, and the painting is of a seascape, and there's a lot of blue in this, so I'll just get going with the blue, and we'll just put down a large brush and a good wash of blue over the top of the painting. And a good thing to remember when you're doing a painting of a landscape or a seascape, it's not always a hard and fast rule, because I've seen people doing things in every way, but the 2/3 rule is a very good rule if you haven't heard of it. So what I'm doing is more or less 2/3 sky and 1/3 land, and it just makes for a more interesting painting, especially if you're starting off and you're not sure how to go about doing a seascape. This is a good way just to stick to your 2/3 rule and decide, do you want to make it 2/3 land with a small sky, or 2/3 sky with a small bit of land? And so I'm just sticking with the blue, and I'm marking in my horizon there. So that will be my sea, and I put some dark blue there, just to put in the darkest part of the sea as it washes onto the sand. And in the foreground I'll have a beach, just a very rough beach, and this is just a very, very simple painting, and I think it's just something nice to do. Now I'm mixing my blue with some orange, and that is giving me a brown. So again, still keeping to the larger brush. Now it's not a huge brush, but it's large compared to the painting. So that kind of, I'm putting maybe kind of, I could put something a bit rocky, a bit hilly there to give a bit of interest. And also there on the shoreline, could be just darken it up a little bit, especially there in the foreground. There's my shoreline. And also gonna just put, for interest, some clouds in that sky, and I can make them dark and dramatic. And that's probably enough with that dark colour for the moment. And I'm going to just, I'm not even washing my brush, I'm just taking a bit of yellow and mixing a little dab of orange with it, and some white to give me that sand. There's my sandy beach down in the foreground. And I'm just been approaching this very, very loosely. I have a spray bottle on hand and I'm using acrylic paints, but the spray bottle, the paints can dry up very, very fast. So it is a very warm day, and the spray bottle, if I need it, it will keep my paints. I can spray the paints and wet them down, and also I can paint can spray the painting itself to keep it moist. I rub my brush. And I'm going to add some of that yellow into the sky there. Now it's not looking wonderful yet because I am really just marking in the ideas of this painting. But I actually really like the way the big brush is making those clouds. And I don't want to do a lot of work on this painting. I'm going to keep it very simple, very free. So that's why I'm using the big brush. I don't want to get bogged down in too much detail, and I want to make it quite, you know, if you see the brush marks, sometimes that's great because it's kind of giving the idea that there's a lot going on in those clouds. And that's also quite, you know, impressionist in style, doing it that way. And again, going back to my beach and putting a lot of some light colours there on the shore. And I'll also lighten this area up somewhere just to give a bit of interest on the horizon. And I'm going to add just a little bit of orange back into that beach, just to there, give it a little bit of colour towards the edge and kind of make it look like it's just a little bit kind of later in the day. It's not a morning painting, it's more of an evening painting, and the orange is giving it you know, a touch of warmth and just a little bit more interest, adding a little bit more interest to the painting. And I'll bring it in here to the sky as well, this orangey colour. I'll probably paint over that, but I just want to bring it in for a bit of interest to kind of give the idea that the sun is glowing there behind the clouds. And now I just feel that blue is a bit one tone. It's just a blue straight out of the tube, so I'm going to add a touch of it's magenta, permanent magenta, into the blue to give that blue, the blue is cerulean. I want to make that blue, just to get rid of the tube blue, the tube cerulean shade, and make my own shade out of it. I think I will still come back with the big brush. I've washed the brush now, I've given it a rinse. And I'm looking for some paper to wipe it down with, but I can't find it, so I'll use an old piece of paper. So adding just a touch of that magenta into the blue. Again, to give me a deeper shade, to give depth into some of those clouds. And again, here on my horizon, I can darken that down, add more interest into it. and maybe put some details here into the sea. And onto the shoreline. Darken some of this up here a little bit. Now I'm adding some white into it, so I don't want to go too dark. And I just feel I'm getting a nicer shade of blue now. I can let some of the pops of the cerulean, I'm going to add a little bit more magenta into the horizon. Here. And some white into that magenta blue. Just to give it a bit more colour there. So it's back and forth with colour. And I'm bringing back my yellows and my whites now. I'm just going to go over them to re-establish them up here on the tops of the clouds. And with clouds you just have to be loose. It's hit and miss really with them. Just keep at them until you like them, until they look like real clouds. And the marks I'm making are, you know, sort of rounded, loose marks. But there is a real science to painting clouds if you wanted to study them. But I'm just taking the easy kind of more visual approach to them, not too much analysis. But yeah, some people really go into analysing the shapes of them and getting them right. I just want to kind of add some highlights in there into the clouds. And into there, maybe some waves or something hitting the beach. And just a little bit of, I want to go back on that beach because it's a bit sketchy. And I want to just put a bit more paint down on it. Just come over with a bit more colour to blend it in. And I'm very close. I've just used one brush on that painting. I'm going to take just a small brush and have just a quick look at it and see if I can, what kind of detail. So I'm just sitting back from it for a moment to have a look at what kind of detail I could put into it. As I said, I don't want to go for too much detail, because I like the effect, that kind of loose effect that it had. And this is the danger: the more I start putting detail in, I can lose a lot of what I had. So I want to be very careful with the level of detail I put into this. Wow, it is a warm day and my brush is just drying out so fast. So again, I'm just going to put just a touch of, and again, you know, sometimes it's good just to run your finger over it to take away the planned brush marks. So I'm just going to, again, rub my finger over them, kind of blot them out. I'm just trying to add some little bit of depth in here without making it look like I've been working with a small brush. I want to keep that looseness. And I think we're almost done. The sea just needs a little bit more depth. And something to match that dark cloud there should be reflecting a little bit down here. Just added a little bit of red to my brush to bring in more of, not enough, but just to bring in a little bit more of the red of the sky and reflect it down here. And give it an idea, you know, that there's this tide is coming in on that beach. Danger at this point is always, you know, am I overdoing it? Am I going to lose if I keep going on with this dabbing and adding little finishing touches to it? Am I going to destroy it? Or am I adding to it? And I really think I'm coming to the place where I need to stop, or I lose some of the loose brush marks. So I think we're at the end of this painting. That's roughly it. I hope you liked it, my little seascape. Do subscribe and share, and I'll be back with you next week. God bless and bye bye.